already.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, the organizer, Dr. Surekha Patil, and all my faculty members, Dr. Babita, Dr. Naveen, and all the students. I'm happy that today 37 students has participated now, and near about 7 students are going to participate in this mega event. I'm giving best wishes to Ansu, Chanchal, Divya, Divangsi, Punar Divedi, Isita Jain, and Jagriti. I'm always encouraging my students to enhance their academic career in this seminar, symposium, and all other activities like workshop, etc. Thanks to Dr. Surekha for this good organizing in the anatomy department. And thanks to all the faculty members, including the coordinator, Dr. Naveen, class in charge, Dr. Raskumari, and all the staffs of the first year. Please carry on, madam. All best wishes to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring us. Now, I would like to request Academic Dean Dr. Babita Madam address the students for the today's session. Yes, over to you, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to all. सभी को नमस्कार. मेरे को जैसे डॉक्टर सुरेखा मैडम ने बताया कि काफी सारे पेरेंट्स भी शायद जुड़े हुए हैं. अभी मैंने पूरा लिस्ट नहीं देखा. स्टूडेंट्स तो काफी जुड़े हुए हैं आज. It's good, and I feel very happy to know that the students are actively participating in such academic activities going online. We are very thankful to our principal, Dr. Amya Goswami ji, as he is always motivating each and every one, student, staff, to schedule and implement such programs and activities which actually will help in developing your confidence level and overall bring out the real qualities in you and help in developing overall personality in you. So I give my best wishes to all the students who are participating today: Anshu, Chanchal, Divya Mathur, Divyanshi, Hunar, Ishita, and Jagriti. Best wishes to you. And one thing I would like to tell here कि बाकी स्टूडेंट्स भी प्रेजेंटेशंस अच्छे से दें. अभी तो आज 7 दिन दे रहे हैं जैसा मैडम ने बताया. कल शायद 9 स्टूडेंट्स का नेम है, 9 या 11 ऐसा कुछ. तो टोटल 27 स्टूडेंट्स अभी 3 दिन में प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे. मैं चाहूंगी ये स्ट्रेंथ और इंक्रीज होनी चाहिए. बाकी स्टूडेंट्स जो रह गए हैं वो भी नेक्स्ट शेड्यूल डेट्स में देंगे. एंड इसी तरीके से फिजियोलॉजी में भी प्रेजेंटेशन सब स्टूडेंट्स दे रहे हैं जैसा मुझे मालूम पड़ा. इट्स वेरी गुड. अभी फार्मेसी की भी डेट्स मैंने शेड्यूल कर दी हैं. 17th, 18th को एक बार जो 6 नेम्स दिए हैं, 3 नाम 17th को और 3 जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो 18th को प्रेजेंट करेंगे. और बहुत ही अच्छा है, प्रिंसिपल सर हमें मोटिवेट करते हैं हर एक्टिविटी करने के लिए. और जितने भी डिपार्टमेंटल एचओडीज हैं फर्स्ट ईयर में वो भी इन चीजों को फॉलो करते हैं. डॉक्टर राजकुमारी मैडम है, क्लास इंचार्ज हैं. कोई दिक्कत हो तो उनसे भी मिलें. इवन डॉक्टर सुरेखा मैडम है, एनाटॉमी में एचओडी हैं. कोई प्रॉब्लम है किसी भी सब्जेक्ट में, ऑल द टीचर्स आर ऑलवेज देयर फॉर यू. किसी भी चीज की कोई प्रॉब्लम है. बट मेरे को ये जान के बहुत ही दुख हुआ कि काफी स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो इनकी पुअर अटेंडेंस है, बहुत ही पुअर अटेंडेंस है ना. तो कुछ नाम जो आई गॉट टू नो कि भाई इनकी पुअर अटेंडेंस है, वो मैंने कल ग्रुप में डाले थे. किसी भी कोई प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, हो सकता है किसी की फैमिली में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, तो वो चीज आप शेयर कर सकते हैं टीचर से. वी आर पेरेंट्स, एज अ पेरेंट्स इन योर कॉलेज, है ना. घर पे तो पेरेंट्स हैं, आप बाहर से भी पढ़ने आए हैं. कोई चीज शेयर करनी है तो आप करें ना. आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, आपको टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं ज्वाइन करने में ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, या कोई घर में बीमार है, एनीथिंग, बट यू हैव टू अटेंड. फर्स्ट ईयर ऐसे पास नहीं होगा. सो आई इंस्ट्रक्ट ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो टू स्टार्ट अटेंडिंग एज सुन एज पॉसिबल. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जितने स्टूडेंट्स ने आज ज्वाइन किया है वो तो हमेशा ही ज्वाइन करते होंगे. प्लीज गिव मैसेज टू ऑल योर कलीग्स. आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स, है ना, एंड पेरेंट्स ऑल्सो to make them attend the classes regularly and be regular in all the sessions and all the activities which are going on. So सभी students को ये presentation देना भी mandatory है ना? It will be effective. So carry on, Dr. Surekha Madam, HOD Anatomy Department. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for encouraging the students. With your permission, sir, principal sir, and Dean Babita madam, we will start the program with a seminar, a student seminar, online seminar. I hope all these students are ready with their online presentation. Therefore, I request the students to present their seminars in the order of list display on the screen one by one. And I request all the members on Zoom app, please mute yourself during the presentation. So first, I would like to call on presentation Anshu. She will present the blood supply of the heart with clinical importance. Anshu, are
Yes,
you?
ma'am.
Yes, please share
Yes,
your
ma'am.
screen.
मैम अलाउ कीजिए.
हाँ, एक मिनट. हाँ. Yeah. This one. Yes, now you can try.
Yes, ma'am. Screen visible है.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I am from Vidyapith College, a government unit Rajasthan to be university. From Department of Anatomy, I want to present my topic: blood supply of heart with clinical importance. So, blood supply to heart is also known as coronary circulation. It consists arterial supply, veins of the heart, and lymphatics of the heart. Arterial supply. Arterial supply of heart is provided to coronary arteries. The coronary artery and left coronary from arteries rises from anti-arterious. Its course. It passes forward from the artery then it near coronary around the then it terminates osmosing with the left coronary artery. Posterior and late part.
I think some network problem. Next student, you can join. Next student, Chanchal Bhatia.
Yes, ma'am.
Share with your screen.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
after your presentation, Anshu will be present. Yes, share your
Okay, ma'am.
screen. Yeah.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected principals, sir, all the teachers and my dear batchmates. I am Chanchal Bhatia, from a student of Rajasthan Vidyapith Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar Rajasthan Vidyapith, deemed to be university. I am here on the behalf of Anatomy Department to present on the topic Anatomy of Diaphragm under the following headings, as you can see on the screen. So first of all, I talk about what is diaphragm. It is a dome-shaped muscle forming the partition between thoracic and abdominal cavities, chief muscle of respiration, as it separates thoracic and abdominal cavities, so also known as thoraco-abdominal diaphragm. Now I talk about the origin. So it is divided into three main origins: sternal, costal, and lumbar. Sternal part consists of two fleshy slips from the back of the Gifford process. Costal part, on each side, it consists of the six fleshy slips arising from the inner surface of lower six rib near the costal cartilage. Lumbar part arises from the means right and left crus of the diaphragm. and 5 arcuate ligament, namely median arcuate ligament, lateral arcuate ligament, right and left crest. Muscle fibers, the fibers arch upwards and inwards to form the left and right dome. The right dome is higher than the left dome. In full expiration, it reaches the level of 4th intercostal space. The left dome reaches the 5th rib. The downward concavity of the dome is occupied by the lever on the right side and by the fundus of stomach by the left side. Next, insertion. The central tendon of the diaphragm is lie below pericardium. Pericardium, it is the outer surface, outer layer of the heart. The right and the left leaflets are tongue-shaped and curved laterally and backward. The central area consists of 4 well-marked diagonal bends. Next, I talk about the openings. So openings are divided into two parts, major openings and the minor opening or the small openings. Major opening is namely divided into 3 parts, vena cava, esophageal and aortic. First, I talk about the vena cava. So it is present here, as you can see in the screen, at the level of the 8th thoracic vertebrae, and it consists inferior vena cava and right phrenic nerve, and it is quadrilateral in shape. Next, esophageal opening, it is elliptical in shape and it is present at the level of the 10th thoracic vertebrae and consists of esophagus and esophageal branch of left gastric artery and accompany vein. And last, third, it is the aortic opening. It is rounded in shape and it consists of azygous vein and thoracic duct. Next, I talk about the small openings. Each case is pierced by the greater or lesser splanchnic nerves. The sympathetic chain passes from the thoracic to abdomen behind the medial arcuate ligament. The subcostal nerve and the vessels pass behind the lateral arcuate ligament or lumbocostal arch. The superior epigastric vessel and the some lymphatics pass between origin of diaphragm from Gifford process and 7th costal cartilage. This gap is known as Laris process space or foramen Morgani. The musculophrenic vessels pierce diaphragm at the level of 7th costal cartilage. Relations superiorly, it is covered by the pleura and the lungs and pericardium, and inferiorly, it is divided into the peritoneum, liver, fundus of stomach, spleen, kidney, and suprarenals. Nerve supply, so motor and sensory. The two nerve supply are present here. Motor, the phrenic nerve are sole motor nerves to the diaphragm. The diaphragm develops in the neck. Sensory, the phrenic nerves are sensory to the central part, and lower 6 thoracic nerves are sensory to the peripheral part of the diaphragm. Actions, the diaphragm is the principal muscle of the inspiration. On contraction of the diaphragm, descends and increase vertical diameter of thorax. On continuing, the splanchnic action in the lower end of the esophagus due to contraction of intrinsic muscle. Next, the clinical anatomy. So hiccup or the hiccup, it is due to the spasmodic contraction of the diaphragm. It may be peripheral or central. Next, shoulder tip pain, it is due to the irritation of diaphragm. Third, the unilateral paralysis of diaphragm, it is due to the lesion of phrenic nerve anywhere in its long course. Eventuation, the fourth one, it is due to the pushed up, diaphragm is pushed upward due to congenital defect in musculature of its left half. And last, diaphragmatic hernia, it is due to congenital or acquired. In congenital, divided into subparts, central, retrosternal, posterolateral, and posterior. In all four, the posterolateral is most common. And in the acquired hernia, it is traumatic and hiatal hernia. Hiatal hernia is divided into two, congenital, also known as rolling hernia, and acquired, it is also known as sliding hernia. As you can see in the diagram, first one is a rolling hernia, second one is a sliding hernia. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you. Chanchal, good presentation.
Thank you,
Chanchal, can you tell me what is the origin and insertion of diaphragm?
Yeah, ma'am. Origin, it is, there are 3 origin: sternal, lumbar, and costal origin. And insertion, the central tendon, it is divided into 3 parts: right, left, and middle part. And the right and left leaflets are laterally downward.
What are the major openings of diaphragm?
There are 3 major openings: vena cava, esophageal, and aortic.
What is the nerve supply of the diaphragm?
It is motor and sensory.
What is the motor supply?
The phrenic nerves are present, which is sole motor to the diaphragm.
What is the sensory?
And
Sensory nerve supply.
The phrenic nerves are present in the sensory nerves, and they are not sole motor. They move laterally and downward to the diaphragm.
What is the meaning of hernia?
Hernia, when any part protrude, it is known as hernia.
Types of the hernia?
There are 2 types of the hernia: congenital or acquired.
What is the meaning of congenital hernia?
It is due to the birth. From birth, which is the hernia is present, and it is known as congenital.
Very good, Chanchal. Next, Anshu, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, share your screen.
Okay, ma'am.
Next, be ready, Diya Mathur. Sorry, Divya Mathur, and afterwards, Diyanshu Jay.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me introduce myself. I am Anshu, student of Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Nagar Rajasthan Vidyapit, deemed to be university. From the Department of Anatomy, I want to present my topic, blood supply of heart with its clinical importance. So, blood supply to heart, also known as coronary circulation, it consists arterial supply, vein of the heart, lymphatic of the heart. Arterial supply. Arterial supply of heart is provided by two coronary arteries, right coronary artery and left coronary artery. The origin of this coronary artery from ascending aorta, which is part of aortic sinus. Now, right coronary arteries. It is smaller than the left coronary arteries, which arise from anterior aortic sinus. Its cause, it passes forward from surface of heart between pulmonary trunk and right auricle. Then it runs downward in right anterior coronary sulcus. Then it wound around the inferior border to reach the diaphragmatic surface, to reach the posterior interventricular groove. Then it terminates by anastomosing with left coronary artery. Now, branches of right coronary artery. First, arterial branch, which has anterior, posterior, and lateral part. Anterior arterial branch, also called sternodal artery. Ventricular branch are anterior posterior group. And right marginal artery arises as right coronary artery crosses the right border of the heart. Now, area of distribution. It distributes blood to right atrium, ventricle, greater part of right ventricle, small part of left ventricle. It supply blood to posterior 1/3 part of interventricular septum. It supply blood to whole of conducting system of the heart. Now, left coronary artery. It is larger than the right coronary arteries. It arises from left posterior aortic sinus of ascending aorta. Its course, it runs forward and to left and emerges between pulmonary trunk and left auricle. Here, the anterior interventricular branch is given. The further continuation of left coronary artery is sometimes called circumflex coronary. Now, branches. Anterior interventricular branch is a large branch. It gives following branches like anterior ventricular and branch. Next, circumflex branch is the terminal part of artery. Branches are area distributed left atrium supply blood part of ventricular septum of left branch of AV bundle. Cardiac dominance in right coronary dominance. Now, collateral circulation. In collateral circulation, cardiac anastomosis in this coronary artery anastomosis Now, veins of heart. Veins of heart defined by three ways: coronary sinus, anterior cardiac vein, and vena cava minima. First, coronary sinus. This is large vein of the heart situated in left posterior coronary sulcus. It has many branches. First, great cardiac vein. It enters the left end of coronary. The middle cardiac vein. It accompanies posterior interventricular artery and joins the right end of coronary sinus. Next, small cardiac vein. It accompanies the right coronary artery and joins the right end of coronary sinus. Now, anterior cardiac vein. It has 3-4 small veins which run parallel to one another on anterior wall of right ventricle. Next, vena cava minima. It all which end in tracheocephalic lymph node at bifurcation of trachea. Now, clinical anatomy. First, myocardium ischemia infection and ventricular fibrillation cause thrombosis of coronary arteries. In first peak, you can see myocardium infarction due to blockage of anterior interventricular branch of left coronary artery. Next, angina pectoris is due to narrowing of coronary arteries. It causes severe chest pain due to ischemia of heart. Coronary angiography determines the site of narrowing of coronary arteries. Cardiac pain is an ischemic pain caused by incomplete obstruction of coronary artery. Last, if there are large segment or multiple site of blockage, coronary bypass is done using either great spacious vein or internal thoracic arteries as graft. In first peak, you can see stent pass in block coronary artery, and second peak, you can see graft put beyond the site of blockage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anshu. अंशु, मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको? हेलो, अंशु?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what is the blood supply of the heart?
Blood supply of heart is through the coronary arteries.
I think some technical problem, network issue. Next, be ready. Diya Mathur,
Yes, ma'am.
share your screen.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. It's Divya Mathur from Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital. On the behalf of Department of Anatomy, I am here to represent the topic anterior compartment of thigh muscles. These are the topic I'll be covering today. Before moving to the anterior compartment of thigh muscles, we need to know what is thigh region. Thigh region is also known as femoral region, which is proximally connected with gluteal, abdominal, and perineal region, and distally with the knee region. It has a bony connection of femoral bone connecting hip to the knee joint. Now, the thigh region muscles are divided into three compartments: anterior, medial, and posterior compartment. The anterior compartments have its unique circulation and interventions. It has intervention of L2 to L4 of femoral nerve. It has following muscles, that is sartorius, quadriceps femoris muscles containing rectus femoris, rectus lateralis, rectus medialis, rectus intermedius, and articulus genius. It has iliopsoas muscles passing through it, but not the part of anterior compartment. This is the dissected portion of the thigh muscles: sartorius, rectus femoris, rectus lateralis, rectus medialis, quadriceps tendon, and patellar region. Moving to the iliacus and psoas medium muscles, these are the part of lateral femoral triangle, which lies on the posterior abdominal wall. They have fleshy bellies. They have a common insertion at lesser trochanter. That's why they are also known as iliopsoas muscle. They are great and powerful flexors of hip joint. It has a nerve supply of L2 and L3 of femoral nerve. Its clinical significance is post-abscesses. During this, a tubercular infections are formed on the lumbar vertebrae, transmitting to the inguinal ligament. It may be mistaken as large lymph nodes. Moving to the sartorius muscle, it is thin, flat, and inferior across the anterior surface of thigh. It is also known as kicking muscle. Now, it originates from the anterior superior iliac spine and upper half notch between anterior superior and anterior inferior iliac spine, which moves in the vertical fashion downwards, crossing the medial side of knee and adding to the shaft of tibia. It has a nerve supply of femoral nerve L2 and L3, having action of flexion of your hip, external rotation of your hip, and flexion of your knee, as we can see in the 3D image. It has a clinical significance of PESS and scoliosis. In this, there is an inflammation occur on the sartorius muscle, causing pain, swelling, and tenderness. These usually occurring in the athletes. Moving to the quadriceps femoris muscle, these are the quad muscles known as rectus femoris, rectus lateralis, rectus intermedius, rectus medialis. These had different origins, but a common insertion at the patella. Testing of quadriceps muscle are usually done by the physicians, making patient lie in a supine position and one leg partially flexed. Physician puts his right hand on the leg downwards and asks patient to put a pressure to straighten the knee against the resistance of the physician hand and feels a contraction on the left hand. Patellar tendon reflex. During this is also a method of quadriceps femoris muscle stacking. In this, the tapping is done on the ligamentum patella. Moving to the rectus femoris is present in the middle of the thigh. It is a fusiform shape, giving a bipiniform of structure, but deep down these fibers runs straight and forming a deep aponeurosis. It has two heads, straight and the reflected head. Straight head arises from anterior inferior iliac spine, where reflected by supraoccipital groove, inserting at the base of patella and 1/3 of the tibial tuberosity. It has main action of thigh flexion and knee extension. Clinical significance, rectus femoris sprain, also known as hip flexor sprain. This usually occurring in the players playing football or soccer. This case of partial tear or full tear, there is a pain in the hip or the groin region and swelling may occur. Or if in case of full tear, there is inability to contract rectus femoris. In case of rectus lateralis is present on the lateral side of the thigh. These are usually absorbs the walking, running, and jumping activities pressure. It's originates from the supra-intertrochanter line, from the anterior and inferior border of greater trochanter, lateral lip of linea aspera, supracondylar ridge, lateral intermuscular septum, and moving to downwards, inserting at the lateral base of patella and 1/3 of the lateral border of patella. It has a nerve supply of L3 and L4 of femoral nerves. Extension of the knee is main action. It has platofemoral syndromes, which usually occur when rectus lateralis contracts before rectus medialis. This may cause a knee pain. It is also a site for intermuscular injections. It's present on the outer middle 1/3. If it is given on the wrong side, it may be life-threatening. It may cause paralysis or nerves or muscle damage. Moving to the rectus medialis, this is present on the medial side. It is also known as kneecap. It's originated from the lower part of intertrochanter line along the lateral medial lip of linea aspera and upper 1/4 of medial supracondylar line, inserting at the 1/3 of the base and upper 1/3 of the medial border of patella, forming a capsule over the knee. It's supplied by L2, L3, and L4 of femoral nerves. Its main function is to balance the patella during an action. It's have a clinical significance of knee pain, which may be occurs during weakness of fatigue, which may disturb the mechanism and provide inadequate motor commands, which may cause a knee pain. Moving to the rectus intermedius, the last muscle of the quadriceps, it's present below the rectus femoris. It's originated from the upper 1/4 of the anterior and lateral surface of shaft of femur, inserting at the base of patella or patella ligament to the tibial tuberosity. It's supplied by L2, L3, and L4 of femoral nerves. Action is knee extension. Moving to the last muscle, it is articulus genu. It is the smallest muscle present for the synovial membrane. It's present on the anterior surface of the shaft, inserting at the suprapatellar bursa, provided by femoral nerve. Its action is to pull the synovial membrane during the knee extension to prevent its damage. If it does not work properly, then there may be a pinched pain occurring in the suprapatellar bursa. It do not work independently. It works with quadriceps femoris muscle. Thank you.
Divya,
Yes, ma'am.
are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, what is the origin of sartorius muscle?
Sartorius muscle is from anterior superior iliac spine and upper half notch between anterior inferior and anterior superior iliac spine.
What is the clinical importance?
Sartorius only? Ma'am, in this apes and neurosis occur. During this condition, there is an inflammation on the sartorius muscle, which usually occurs in athletes. It may cause pain in the hip or the groin region and bruising and swelling.
Okay. What is the origin of rectus femoris muscle?
Rectus femoris has two heads. Straight head arises from the anterior inferior iliac spine and the reflected head from the supraoccipital groove.
Yes. What is the clinical importance about the rectus femoris?
Rectus femoris is clinical importance of rectus femoris sprain or hip flexor sprain. In this condition of partial tear or a full tear, in this it may occur in the footballers or soccer players. During this, there is case of partial tear, then maybe swelling, bruising may occur in the hip or the groin region. And in case of full tear, there is inability to contract of rectus femoris.
Okay, good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, Dianshi Jain.
Yes, ma'am.
Share your screen.
मैम विजिबल है?
Yes.
Good morning, my respected teachers. Myself Dianshi Jain from Rajasthan Vidyapit Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Dabok from HOD Department Anatomy. I am sharing my PPT on topic anatomy of large intestine and rectum with clinical importance. Large intestine is a large part of our digestive system. Its function is to absorb body water from the matter and then to pass useless waste material from the body. It is larger in diameter but shorter than the small intestine. Basically, it is divided into 4 parts: cecum, colon, rectum, and anal canal. Colon is again subdivided into following parts are ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. Large intestine can easily be distinguished from small intestine by a tinea coli, a 3 thickened bands of longitudinal muscle. These are tinea libera, tinea mesocolica, and tinea augmentalis. The circulation of its wall between the tinea are called hustra. Appendices epiploica, the small pouches of omentum which are filled with the fat and a much greater caliber. The 3 tinea coli, thickened bands of smooth muscles representing most of the longitudinal cord. This begins at the base of the appendix as the thick longitudinal layer of the appendix splits to form 3 bands. The tinea run the length of the large intestine margin again at the rectosigmoid junction into a continuous longitudinal layer around the rectum. These here you can see these yellow color is epiploica appendages which are filled with the fat. This is hustra and these are the tinea coli. Appendix epiploica which are filled with fat pockets of peritoneum projecting from the visceral peritoneum on the surface of the large intestine. There are many appendices epiploica on the large intestine, also known as omental appendages. Clinical anatomy. Large intestine can be directly viewed by a procedure called a colonoscopy. A diverticulum. Diverticulum basically when there is a loss of fiber in our body, we are suffering from loose motion. Loose motion होने की वजह से there is some pressure on the surface of the colon. Mucous membrane की colon की surface is small invasination होता है. That invasination is called as diverticulum and its inflammation is called as diverticulitis. This is the procedure of colonoscopy and this is a diverticulitis. Next is rectum. Introduction. It is the lowest part of GIT. Feature. It is a distal part of the large gut. The rectum in man is not straight as the name implies. In fact, it is curved in an anterior-posterior direction and also from side to side. The 3 cardinal features of large intestine, that is circulation, appendix epiploica, and tinea are absent in rectum. Situation. The rectum is situated in the posterior part of the lesser pelvis in front of the lower 3 pieces of the sacrum and coccyx. Dimension. The rectum is 12 cm long. In the upper part, it is same diameter of 4 cm, but in lower part, it is dilated to form rectal ampulla. Here, this is the rectum. Course and direction. The beginning and end of the rectum lie in the median plane, but it shows 2 types of curvature in its course: 2 anterior-posterior curves. The sacral fracture of the rectum follow the concavity of the sacrum and coccyx. The perineal fracture of the rectum is the backward bend at the anorectal junction. And 3 lateral curves: the upper, middle, and lower. Upper curve rectum is convex to right. Middle lateral curve convex to left, which is most prominent, and the lower lateral curve is convex to right. Peritoneal relation. The upper 1/3 of the rectum is covered with peritoneum in front and on the side. The middle 1/3 which is covered with peritoneum only in front, and the lower 1/3 which is dilated to form ampulla is devoid of peritoneum. Visceral relation. Anteriorly in male, upper 2/3 is related to the rectovesical pouch with coils of intestine. Lower 1/3 is related to the base of the urinary bladder, ureter, seminal vesicles, vas, and prostate. And in female, the upper 2/3 of rectum are related to the rectouterine pouch with coils of intestine and sigmoid colon. The pouch separates the rectum from the uterus and from the upper part of the vagina. The lower 1/3 of the rectum is related to the lower part of the vagina. Functional part of rectum. The rectum has 2 developmental parts, the upper part and lower part. The upper part, which is related to the peritoneum, develop from the hindgut and lie above the 3rd fold of the rectum, and the lower part is devoid of peritoneum, develop from the cloaca and lie below the 3rd transverse fold. Clinical aspect. Digital per rectum examination. In this PR examination, the finger entered the anal canal before reaching the lower end of the rectum. In patient, a PR examination can help in the palpation of following abnormalities: within the lumen, fecal infection and foreign bodies, bleeding, piles and hemorrhoid, and in the rectal wall, rectal growth structures and the thrombocyte piles. This is the process of digital per rectum examination. And proctoscopy and sigmoidoscopy. The interior of the rectum and anal canal can be examined under direct vision with special instrument called proctoscope or sigmoidoscope. Basically, proctoscope showed internal piles and growth in the lower part of the rectum, and sigmoidoscope help in revealing ulcer growth and diverticula and in taking a rectal biopsy. This is the procedure of proctoscopy and sigmoidoscopy. Thank you.
Dianshi. Hello. Dianshi, are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me the what are the features of appendix? Anatomical features of appendix.
Anatomical features of
Appendix.
appendix. It is basically 2 centimeter long below the ileocecal orifice. It is occasionally guarded by an indistinct semilunar fold of the mucous membrane known as wall of Gillard's.
Other features? What is the
It is
difference?
Is marked by on the surface of a point situated 2 centimeter below a junction of trans, tubercular, and bright lateral plans.
Tell me the course of rectum.
Course of rectum. In its course, the rectum runs first downward and backward, then downward and finally downward and forward. It begins at the end of the rectum and line the median flat.
Just tell me the clinical importance of appendix.
Rectum key?
Appendix.
Yes, ma'am. Appendix key.
Okay, next. Tell me inflammation, right?
Inflammation of the appendix, which is known as appendicitis, seen in the adolescent age. In this condition, it is usually necessary to remove the appendix.
Okay.
The operation on which by which we remove the appendix is called as appendectomy.
Appendectomy.
Yes, ma'am,
Appendectomy. Okay. Next. Hunar. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, be ready. Ishita Jain and Jagrati.
Ma'am, 2 minutes.
Okay. Shall I start with Ishita Jain if you have problem? Ishita, are you hearing me? Ishita Jain?
Yes, ma'am.
You share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Good morning, my dear principal, sir, our dean ma'am, Dr. Babita ma'am, and to my teachers and my fellow batchmates and everyone who is attending this session. My name is Ishita Jain, and today I am going to present brachial plexus on the behalf of Department of Anatomy. Let's start with the introduction. Now, plexus, what is plexus? Plexus is a network of nerves or vessels in the body. And what is brachial plexus? It is the plexus in the upper limb. Now, it is located in the anterior primary rami of C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1 nerve roots, which are exiting the spine. Now, brachial plexus on a cadaver, which can be seen like this. And this is the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. Now, it's parts of brachial plexus. It has roots, trunks, divisions, cords, and branches. Now, first are root and trunk, which are the suprascapular part. Now, root C5 and C6 join together to form the upper trunk. C7 forms the middle trunk, and C8 and T1 joins to form the lower trunk. Now, the branches of roots are the long thoracic nerve, which supplies to the serratus anterior muscle, then dorsal scapular nerve, which supplies to the rhomboid minor and rhomboid major muscle, and the branch to the phrenic nerve, which supplies to the diaphragm. The divisions of the trunk, which are also known as retroclavicular part, each trunk divides into two, anterior and posterior, or can be called as ventral and dorsal divisions. Now these divisions further join to form the cords. Now branches of the trunks. It has suprascapular nerve, which supplies to the supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscle, and nerve to the subclavius, which supplies to the small subclavius muscle. Now cords and branches, which are also called as infraclavicular part. Now the lateral cord, this is formed by the union of ventral, or called as anterior division of upper and middle trunk. And the medial cord is formed by the anterior division of the lower trunk. Now the posterior cord is formed by the union of all the three dorsal divisions. Now the branches of the cord, the lateral cord has lateral pectoral nerve, which supplies to pectoralis major and minor muscle, and musculocutaneous nerve, which supplies to biceps brachii, brachialis, and coracobrachialis muscle. Now it has lateral root of median nerve, which further joins to the median nerve. Now medial cord, it has medial pectoral nerve, which supplies to pectoralis major and minor muscle, the medial root of median nerve, which further joins with the median nerve, the medial cutaneous nerve of arm and forearm, and the ulnar nerve. The posterior cord has lower subscapular nerve, which supplies to teres major muscle, upper subscapular nerve, which supplies to subscapularis muscle, nerve to latissimus dorsi, axillary nerve, which supplies to deltoid muscle and teres minor muscle, and it has the thickest branch, which is the radial nerve. Now, the clinical importance of brachial plexus, first is Erb's paralysis. The roots affected in the Erb's paralysis are C5 and C6, and the muscles paralyzed are biceps brachii, deltoid, brachialis, and brachioradialis. Now, the Erb's palsy, it is also known as Erb's palsy, and it generally is seen in the newborn, in which he keeps the limb in a weighted tip position, also known as policeman or potter's tip hand. It has shoulder adducted, elbow extended, and the wrist flexed. Second is clump case paralysis. It has hyperextension of metacarpophalangeal joint. It occurs in the lower trunk of brachial plexus and the flexion at interphalangeal joint. This deformity is also known as clawed hand, and the nerve roots involved are T1 and partly C8. The sensory loss is along the medial side of the forearm. Thank you.
निशिता,
Yes, ma'am.
वीडियो पे आ जाओ निशिता.
मैं मेरा कैमरा ऑन है.
हाँ, यहाँ पे ऑन है, आप नहीं दिख रहे हैं. Tell me the parts of brachial plexus.
Parts of brachial plexus, it has 3 parts. It has 5 parts: the roots, the trunks, the division, the cords, and the branches.
Tell me the parts of cords.
Cords, it has 3 cords. It has 3 cords: lateral cord, medial cord, and posterior cord.
टेक्स्ट बुक में देख के नहीं बता रहे, इसलिए बोले तुम कैमरे पे आ जाओ. I wanted to see. Tell me the branches of lateral cord which supply.
The branches of lateral cord. Lateral cord is formed by the ventral division of the upper and middle trunks, and Its branches are first is lateral pectoral nerve, which supplies the pectoralis major and pectoralis minor muscle. Then it has musculocutaneous nerve, which can be reminded by BBC, which is brachioradialis, brachialis, and coracobrachialis. And last is lateral root of median nerve, which further joins with the medial root of median nerve.
Tell me the branches of medial cord and supply.
Medial cord, it can be remembered by MMU, and it has medial pectoral nerve, which has pectoralis major, which supplies pectoralis major and pectoralis minor muscle. Then medial cutaneous nerve of arm and medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Then it has medial root of median nerve, which as we saw, it joins with the lateral root of median nerve. And last is ulnar nerve.
Supply of the ulnar nerve.
It supplies 1.5 muscles of the front forearm and 15 muscles of the palm.
What is the name of that muscle? Forearm muscle, which supplies the ulnar nerve.
Forearm muscles, brachialis and brachioradialis, 1.5 muscle of the front of the forearm.
Are you sure? Ulnar nerve is supplies brachioradialis. Yes. Next, Hunar, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Share your screen. After Hunar, please ready Jagrati Sharma. हुनर कुछ आवाज आ रही है बेटा आपके से?
मैम आपने शेयर करने के लिए अलाउ कर रखा है?
हाँ बेटा, इसलिए तो सब लोग शेयर कर रहे हैं ना।
मैम मेरा हो ही नहीं रहा शेयर, इसलिए बोल रही हूँ।
अच्छा ओके, बात मैं यहाँ से शेयर करती हूँ बेटा, कोई बात नहीं। आई विल शेयर फ्रॉम माय डेस्कटॉप।
ओके मैम।
हाँ या नो प्रॉब्लम। Yeah, wait for the 1 minute. I will share. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I start?
Yeah, you can start.
Good evening, respected principal sir, respected teachers and my dear batchmates. I am a student of Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, a constituent unit of Janardhan Rai Rajasthan Vidyapeeth deemed to be university. Today I am going to represent a topic from Department of Anatomy, and my topic is Anatomy of Pancreas. Introduction. The pancreas consists of two organs in one, exocrine and endocrine glands. The exocrine glands secrete enzymes into the digestive tract, whereas the endocrine secrete the hormones in the bloodstream. It is soft, finely lobulated, elongated gland. The pancreatic juice help in digestion of lipids, carbohydrates, and protein, whereas pancreatic hormone maintain glucose homeostasis. Features. First, location. Pancreas is an abdominal organ that is located across posterior abdominal wall at the level of first and second lumbar vertebrae, surrounded by other organs including spleen, liver, and small intestine. It lies in the epigastric and left hypochondriac region. The greater part of gland is retroperitoneal, means glands is lie outside the peritoneum, behind serous floor of lesser sac. Size and shape. It is J-shaped, 15 to 20 cm long, 2.5 to 3.8 cm broad, 1.2 to 2.8 cm thick, and weight is 90 grams. Next. Parts and its relations. The pancreas is subdivided into 4 parts. First, head of pancreas. It is enlarged, flattened, right end of pancreas situated within C-shaped curve of duodenum. Ma'am, next slide. Ma'am, diagram. It has three borders: inferior border, superior border, and lateral border. As you can see, inferior border is related to first part of duodenum and also superior pancreatoduodenal artery. Inferior border is related to third part of duodenum and also inferior pancreatoduodenal artery, and lateral border is related to second part of duodenum and anterior posterior pancreatoduodenal artery and terminal part of bile duct. It has two surfaces: anterior surface, which is related to first part of duodenum, transverse colon, root of transverse mesocolon, superior mesenteric vessels, and jejunum. Posterior surface, it is related to inferior vena cava, terminal part of renal vein, right crus of diaphragm, bile duct. Uncinate process, it is related anteriorly to superior mesenteric vessels and posteriorly to aorta. Second, neck of pancreas. It is slightly constricted part of pancreas which connect head with body. It has two surfaces: anterior surface, which is related to pylorus, and posterior surface, which is related to beginning of portal vein and ending of superior mesenteric vein. Body of pancreas. Body of pancreas is elongated. It extends from its neck to tail. It has three borders: anterior border, which provide attachment to transverse mesocolon; superior border, related to celiac artery over tuberomental. Tuberomental is bulge-short part of pancreas. The hepatic artery to right and splenic artery to left. And inferior border, related to superior mesenteric vessels. It has three surfaces: anterior surface, posterior surface, and inferior surface. Anterior surface, it is concave. It is covered by peritoneum and is related to lesser second stomach because they are present in close vicinity. Posterior surface, it is related to aorta with origin of superior mesenteric artery, left crus of diaphragm, left suprarenal gland, left kidney, left renal vessels, and splenic vein. Inferior surface, it is related to duodenal jejunal flexure, coils of jejunum, and left colic flexure. Tail of pancreas, it lies in the leniorenal ligament. It is related to lateral part of lesser sac. Together with the splenic vessel, it contains large number of islets of Langerhans. They are pancreatic cells which secrete insulin per unit of tissue as compared to other parts of gland. They are related to visceral surface of spleen between gastric and colic impression. Ducts of pancreas. Usually there are two ducts, main and accessory, which drain the exocrine secretion into the duodenum. Ma'am, next slide. As you can see, main duct starts from tail and moves to the neck part, and from neck it turns downward, joined with the bile duct and pierces the second part of duodenum and form hepatopancreatic ampulla and open as a narrow opening known as major duodenal papillae. Second is accessory duct of Santorini. It starts from head and then run upward and medially crossing in front of main pancreatic duct. It opens into the second part of duodenum on the summit of minor duodenal papillae about the opening of main pancreatic duct. Arterial supply. It has three arterial supplies: splenic artery, superior pancreatoduodenal artery, and inferior pancreatoduodenal artery. Venous supply. Portal vein, superior mesenteric vein, splenic vein. Nerve supply. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve fiber reach the gland along its arteries from celiac and superior mesenteric plexuses. The sympathetic supply is vasomotor, means it controls dilation and constriction, whereas parasympathetic supply controls the pancreatic secretion. Lymphatic drainage, pancreatosplenic nodes, celiac nodes, superior mesenteric nodes, and pyloric nodes. Functions. The pancreas has digestive and hormonal functions. The enzymes secreted by the exocrine glands in the pancreas help break down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. These enzymes go down the pancreatic duct into the bile duct in an inactive form. When they go into the duodenum, they are activated. The exocrine tissue also secretes a bicarbonate. It neutralizes stomach acid in the duodenum. There are three main hormones. First two, insulin and glucagon, which control the level of glucose in the blood, and somatostatin that helps control the level of other hormones. Clinical importance. Deficiency of insulin causes diabetes mellitus. Deficiency of pancreatic enzyme causes digestive problems. Carcinoma of head of pancreas is common. It compresses the bile duct, leading to persistent obstructive jaundice. It may press the portal vein or may involve the stomach due to close vicinity of the structures to the head of pancreas. Acute pancreatitis is the acute inflammation of the pancreas. It occurs due to intake of alcohol, viral infection, or trauma. It is a serious condition because it starts autodigestion of the gland. Initially, it presents a very severe pain in the epigastric region, radiating to the fever, nausea, and vomiting. Thank you and have a nice day.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Owner,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me what is the meaning of uncinate process?
Ma'am, uncinate process is present at the head part, at the tip of head.
Why it is called as uncinate process?
Don't know.
Okay. Tell me the parts of pancreas, anatomical parts of pancreas.
It has 4 parts: head,
What?
neck, body, tail.
Tell me the posterior surface relations of the body of pancreas.
Posterior surface of the body of pancreas. Ma'am, splenic vein, left suprarenal gland, left truss of diaphragm, aorta, inferior vena cava, and superior mesenteric artery.
Tell me the ducts of pancreas.
There are 2 ducts: main duct of Wierson and accessory duct of Santorini.
What is the meaning of accessory duct of pancreas? Yes. Next, Jagrati, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, share your screen. Yes, wait for the 1 minute. I will allow for sharing the screen. Stop it. Start. Share your screen, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. मैम शेयरिंग हो रही है?
हाँ.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to all respected teachers and my dear friends. Myself Jagrati Sharma. I am from Rajasthan Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital from the Department of Anatomy. On the behalf of Department of Anatomy, I am going to present a topic, presentation on a topic: clinical importance of brachial plexus. So these are the top points which we cover in these slides. First, we talk about the introduction of brachial plexus. The brachial plexus is a network of nerves formed by anterior primary rami of lower 4 cervical nerves and first thoracic nerve, which are C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1, and which are extended from the spinal cord through the cervicoaxillary canal in the neck, over the first rib, and into the armpit. So basically the brachial plexus consists of root, trunk, division, cords, and branches. In roots, as we see, these are the C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. Trunks are upper, middle, lower. Division, ventral and dorsal. Cords are lateral, posterior, and medial. And these are the branches. Then this is a dissected part of brachial plexus shown on the body. These are the root, trunk, division, cords, and branches. Then we talk about the clinical importance. So first we go through the Erb's paralysis. In Erb's paralysis, the site of injury is Erb's point. This Erb's point, as we see in this picture, it is present in the upper trunk of brachial plexus, where the 6th nerve meets suprascapular nerve, nerve to subclavius, anterior division, posterior division, C5 and C6 root. Then we talk about the causes of injury. Causes of injury are undue separation of head from the shoulder, which is commonly encountered in the following, as we see in the this birth injury and difficult childbirth, or fall on the shoulder or during anesthesia. The nerve root involved are C5 and partially C6. Muscle paralyzed are mainly biceps brachii, deltoid, brachialis, brachioradialis, partially the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and supinator. Then we talk about the deformity and position of limb in Erb's palsy. So this is a picture of Erb's paralysis of right arm. In this, the arm is hangs by side, it is adducted and medially rotated, and forearm is extended and pronated. Then the deformity, this type of deformity, ये जो deformity बन रही है, इसको कहते हैं हम policeman tips hand, waiter's tips hand, and porter's tip hand. And the disability, the following movements are lost, which are abduction and lateral rotation of arm at shoulder joint, flexion and supination of forearm, biceps and supinator jerks are lost, sensation are lost over the small area at the lower part of deltoid. Then we talk about the Klumpke's paralysis. In Klumpke's paralysis, the site of injury is lower trunk of brachial plexus. Cause of injury is undue abduction of arm, as in clutching something with a hand after a fall from height, as we see in this picture. And at the time of birth injury also it occurs. Then this is a picture of deformity which is formed in Klumpke's paralysis, as we see. Then nerve root involved are T1 and C8, and muscle paralyzed are intrinsic muscle of hand, ulnar flexor of wrist and the fingers. Then the deformity and position of hand, as we see, there is a hyperextension of metacarpophalangeal joint and flexion at interphalangeal joint. So there is this type of deformity is formed, which deformity is known as complete claw hand, or cutaneous and anesthesia and analgesia in a narrow zone along a ulnar border of forearm and hand is also there. Then the Horner syndrome. If the T1 Horner syndrome कब होगा? अगर T1 जो है is injured proximal to void ramus communicans to first thoracic sympathetic ganglion, then there is a ptosis, meiosis. Ptosis means droppy eyelid, meiosis means constricted pupil, and hydrosis means loss of sweat, and inophthalmos means the posterior displacement of eyeball and loss of ciliospinal reflex. Then we talk about the vasomotor changes. So जहाँ पे भी जो skin area है with the sensory loss is warmer. Why it is warmer? Due to the arterial dilation, and it is also a drier due to the absence of sweating, as there in loss of sympathetic activity. Then we talk about the tropic change. Long-standing case of paralysis leads to dry and scaly skin, and the nails crack easily with the atrophy of pulp of fingers. So these are the tropic change. And we talk about the ulnar claw hand. This is a type of claw hand which occurred due to the ulnar nerve lesion at the wrist. In this claw hand, deformity is claw hand, and the sensory loss is confined to the medial 1/3 of palm and medial 1.5 fingers, including their nail buds. Vasomotor changes and tropic changes are same, and the patient in this ulnar claw hand, उसमें क्या होता है, जो little finger and the ring finger जो होती है are more involved than the other fingers, and the patient is unable to spread out finger due to the paralysis of dorsal introsi, and the power of adduction of thumb and flexion of ring finger and little fingers are lost. Then we talk about the difference between the Erb's palsy and Klumpke's palsy. So in Erb's palsy, the site of injury is the Erb's point where the 6 nerve meet in the upper trunk, and the site of injury in Klumpke's palsy is the lower trunk of brachial plexus. Then we talk about the causes. So separation of head from the shoulder due to the birth injury, fall on shoulder, etc. And the causes the abduction of arm or birth injury. Nerve root involved are C5 and C6, and in this nerve root involved are C8 and T1. And in this features, arms hang by side and medially rotated like policeman tips hand. And the feature in this are Klumpke's paralysis are complete claw hand, as we see. Then the injury to the nerve to serratus anterior or nerve of Bell, it is also known as long thoracic nerve. Then we call the causes. Causes are the sudden pressure on the shoulder from above. एकदम से कोई pressure पड़ता है shoulder पे, या फिर carrying heavy loads on the shoulder. Then the deformity is caused winging of scapula, that is excessive prominence of medial border of scapula. As we see in this picture, this is a normal phenomena of scapula, and this is a winging of scapula. When a person try to pushing or punching action, the winging of scapula happen. In this, the medial border prominence and the inferior angle of scapula are prominent. Then in disability, the loss of pushing and punching actions. During attempts at pushing and punching, there occur winging of scapula. Overhead abduction of shoulder girdle is partially affected due to the trapezius muscle. Thank you all of you for listening me, and thank you Surekha Patil ma'am for guiding me.
Yes, Jagrati, good presentation. Yes, tell me what is the difference between, first you tell me what is the meaning of Erb's point?
Erb's point is a point. It is present in the it is present in the upper trunk of brachial plexus, जहाँ पे 6 nerve meet करती है, और जो अगर वो injured हो जाता है तो then Erb's paralysis is caused or
occur. What are the features, signs and symptoms for Erb's paralysis?
The arm, जो arm होती है, arm is hangs by side, it is adducted and medially rotated, and forearm is extended and pronated. So इस जो deformity है, मतलब जो ये है, इसको हम बोलते हैं policeman tips hand, waiter's tips hand, and porter's tips hand.
Yes, tell me what is the difference between Klumpke's paralysis and Erb's paralysis?
The major difference is between the plum case and Erb's paralysis, that in Erb's paralysis, the injury occur at the upper trunk of brachial plexus, and in clump case, injury occur at the lower trunk of brachial plexus. In Erb's paralysis, the nerve root involved are C5 and C6, and in clump case paralysis, nerve root involved are C8 and T1, and in Erb's paralysis, the deformity जो बनती है उसको हम कहते हैं policeman tips hand and porter's tips hand, and in clump case paralysis there is a complete claw hand.
Claw hand, yes. What is the meaning of winging of scapula?
In winging of scapula, there is an excessive prominence of medial border and inferior angle of scapula. So if there is an injury of long thoracic nerve, then if person try to pushing and punching action, then there is a excessive prominence of medial border of scapula and inferior angle of scapula.
This winging of scapula or nerve to injury, this what is this called as other name, synonymous name?
Nerve of Bell and long thoracic nerve.
Long thoracic nerve, yes, good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, सब लोग वीडियो पे आ जाओ. Now I would like to request first year coordinator, Dr. Naveen sir, HOD of Community Department. सब लोग वीडियो पे आ जाओ. Naveen sir, are you hearing me? Yes, what is your experience, today's experience? I went from the student side. From batch A. Batch A, जिसने batch present किया है, honestly, you have to explain how do you feel today. Diya Mathur. Mic on करो. Mic on करो.
Ma'am, it was a great experience, new learning, and we got build our confidence.
What you have learned from this seminar? What you have learned from this seminar?
We have learned to present a topic.
Yes.
And how to explain our things. And we have to be thorough about our topic.
Thorough about that topic. Yes. Yes, Hunar, what is your experience about this seminar?
It was good.
Only good. What you have experienced?
Ma'am, I boosted my confidence firstly because and I learned to how to express
the knowledge and कैसे उसको express. You have the knowledge, but how to express? And
Yes,
this expression of the knowledge, how it is possible after the practice, repeated practice. Yes, Jagrati.
Yes.
What is your Naveen sir?
Yes, are you able to hear me, madam?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, sir.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. Thank you so much, madam. First of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, who has been a true source of inspiration to all of us to do such sort of activities from all the faculty members and all the dear students. I would like to thank our Principal, Sir, Dr. Amir Goswami ji, our Academic Dean. And with reference to the presentation of the students, I would like to congratulate all the students who have presented as well as who have participated. Because as we have learned from the recent Olympics, sentences said by some great solvers, that participation is also a very good thing, a very great thing. कहीं ना कहीं हम participate करते हैं, तभी हमें आगे जाके motivation आता है कि हम present भी करें अपने आप. Because presenting at a platform is also a great asset, is a great degree of confidence. और मैं सभी स्टूडेंट्स को बधाई देना चाहूंगा और मैं आपसे ये कहना चाहूंगा कि पिछले 1.5 साल से जो हम ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म पे इंटरेक्शन कर रहे हैं, this online platform becomes a boon and a positive for us because sometimes we are not able to share our things offline. पर जब हम ऑनलाइन होते हैं तो शायद क्योंकि हम आमने सामने नहीं होते हैं तो अपने कॉन्फिडेंटली बातों को रख पाते हैं, और शायद हम जब ऑफलाइन मिलेंगे तो वो कॉन्फिडेंस हमारा कंटिन्यूएशन में बरकरार रहे। और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि द स्टूडेंट्स आर प्रेजेंटेड इन वेरी डिटेल, दे हैव डन अ वंडरफुल जॉब, एंड आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक the HOD and Professor Dr. Sureka Patil ji, who has really worked very hard with the students and prepared them in a best possible manner. And an ultimate congratulations to all the students and respected HOD Dr. Sureka Patil ji. You have worked very hard, and your students are working very, very hard, because anatomy is such a subject which cannot be mugged up. It has
Yes,
to be
sir, yes, sir.
understood. It cannot be mugged up. ये ऐसा मेडिकल सब्जेक्ट है जिसको आप रट नहीं सकते हैं, जब तक समझ में नहीं आया प्रेजेंट करने तो बहुत दूर की बात है। But if students are presenting, if after 1 year of study, it is really a very, very good achievement by all the students. और मैं स्टूडेंट्स को ये कहना चाहूंगा, और पेरेंट्स अगर जुड़े हुए हैं तो मैं उनको ये एश्योर करना चाहूंगा कि यार स्टूडेंट्स आर डूइंग अ वंडरफुल जॉब, दे आर डूइंग अ वंडरफुल वर्क। और 1 साल बाद ये बच्चे जिस तरह निकल के आएंगे, वी कैन इमेजिन ओनली, दे आर वर्किंग वेरी हार्ड। कुछ सब्जेक्ट्स ऐसे होते हैं उसमें बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत होती है, जैसे एनाटॉमी है, ये फिजियोलॉजी है, इनमें कुछ ज्यादा मेहनत होती है, और कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कि इतना लेबर करना पड़ रहा है। पर ये 1 साल बाद ही जब आप सेकंड ईयर में आएंगे तो यू विल फील द वर्क यू हैव पुट इन इज रियली groomed you in a very good orator, in a very good student, and you are going to be a very good physician in future. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the encouraging the students.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yes, Jagrati, you are explaining about your experience. How is the experience with this seminar? What are new things you have learned? आपने क्या सीखा इससे?
सबसे पहले तो कॉन्फिडेंस, पहले तो मुझे डर लग रहा था कैसे होगा, बट व्हेन आई गेव दिस एंड आफ्टर दैट आई गेन अ वेरी मच कॉन्फिडेंस। और बहुत सारे ब्रेक मतलब क्लिनिकल इंपॉर्टेंस, मैंने जो ब्रेकियल प्लेक्सिस में टॉपिक लिया था इसके हिसाब से मुझे बहुत अच्छा लर्न हुआ है फ्रॉम द सेमिनार एंड दिस ऑल अबाउट।
Yes, very good experience. Chanchal, what's your experience?
It's good. I learned new thing, how to answer our questions. मतलब खुद क्वेश्चन बना के खुद आंसर करना is little hard. As you ask, as we give, तो confidence boost up हुआ। अदर स्लाइड से भी, अदर की प्रेजेंटेशन से भी कुछ ना कुछ सीखने को मिला।
Yes, मुझे that means you have learned something, है ना? Something is different. देखो स्टडी तो अपना होता ही है, but at the same time during this study period, this time extra activities you have to do, because after completion of this degree, you will become maybe in the future, you know, so maybe एक academic teacher है, या as a clinic as a medical officer, but before that we should know stability. अंदर से एक stability चाहिए, वो stability होने के लिए आपको knowledge चाहिए, knowledge gain करने के लिए आपको practice, hard work, and that practice and hard work we get the confidence. Most important, we should know about the how to learn, how to express, and with this expression we can get the confidence inside. Thank you so much to all students, and tomorrow we will continue the next batch for the B batch, and day after tomorrow we will start the C batch. Now I'm ending the session. Thank you so much. And for the live stream today we have some technical problem, but tomorrow we will try for the live stream plus Zoom meeting also. Yes, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am, for guiding.
Yes.